Hi everybody, in this video we're going to be analyzing a 9-step checkmate plan. And this game was actually played in 1932 in London between Alekhine and Winter. So as we know, Alekhine is a very famous player and he is playing as white. The black king is in the middle, so we can right away look at which pieces we can use to try to attack the king. We have a rook, we have a queen, and somehow you need to do some checks. But you see, like, if you do a check this way, the queen can try to block, and we need to keep the tempo going. We need to keep the momentum moving, so we need to do some constant checks. Of course, like if they go over here, you can bring your rook to be able to win that queen, but the goal isn't to just win the queen, it's to do a checkmate in 9 moves. We also have some pawns in the near proximity, meaning we can try to use these pawns as well, such as like if the king goes down enough, maybe you can try to use the pawn's help to do a check with the rook. You can also do the same thing, like helping the queen with the pawn if the king is like too close to the queen's potential square. So right away we have like two options. We can try to make that king go down, and then the queen can like do some checks over here, or we can try to make this king go up, and that's going to be the idea. So in order to be able to do that, we're going to use this rook to go to b5. Now, if the rook goes to b5, we're doing a check directly. The queen protects it. So the king has a few options in this position. For example, if the king goes to this square, d6, they can't go to c6 because of the queen. We want to do some checks more with our queen, right? So we need to bring our queen closer, and we usually want to go to this square, but of course, whoops, if we go here, the king can just capture it. So we're going to probably do a maneuver like this check. If they go to this square, now they want to escape from here. Our pawn prevents the king from escaping. But we also want to prevent the king from going via f5. So we can actually do a check this way, preventing the king from escaping. And now the king will go over here. But you see, because we moved the queen to here, the queen is also preventing all these squares that the king can escape, and the pawn is blocking the way as well. So we're making a very nice force shield for this king to not escape from, which allows us to bring the rook to b6. An excellent idea. Now there's only one move for the king to go, and as you can see, we can capture the queen, but we don't want to capture that queen. I want to do a checkmate. So if that happens, what we can do is, there's probably a ladder checkmate, a rook roller checkmate right now. We can do this check. The king has two options. Technically, it doesn't really matter where they go. If they go back, we can go here. They will block with their queen, and then we can capture with either one of them to do a checkmate. So this took 7 moves actually, and this is one of the options. Now, alright, so we brought the rook to here to check the king. Now, what if the king doesn't go back, but instead they go down? Now, if they go somewhere like d4, again, as I was saying, we can try to bring our queen down to anchored with the pawn, and now we're attacking this king. So the king wants to go over here. Now, what I see is that we can try to do a motif like this, right? And then after king goes to here, we can do a checkmate this way. But the problem is, once you bring the queen, the opponent's queen will capture us. Which is actually a huge blunder for us, because after we capture back, they have an extra rook. We're definitely losing this game right now. So that's why in this position, moving the rook to c5 looks like a good idea, but potentially we can't bring too much after that. We want to keep on checking, but you also need to protect the rook while checking the king. Like if you go somewhere like that, they can capture that rook. That's why that doesn't work. So we can eliminate moving the rook to c5 in this position. Let's look at some potential checks that we can do. Another check, a successful check, will be to move the queen to b3, or we can try to move the queen to c5 instead. Now, if we try to bring the queen to c5, the king will go down, and we are still winning this game. We can try to bring this rook, but if we do that, the king will probably escape from here. You see, we can do some checks, but the king is kind of escaping. They can even try to take shelter behind the pawn over here. So right away we can eliminate this option. The other move that we can look into is going to be a queen b3. And if we do queen b3, we are checking the king. The rook protects, the pawn protects. They have to move the king over here. And again, we want to keep on checking. In this position, if you want, you can bring the rook down to here again. But then the king will probably escape from there. We can keep on checking them, but again, it's not going to end up in a checkmate, at least not in like 9 moves. The king will go back, they will go back. You can capture the queen, like if you brought the rook here, you can capture the queen, but again, doesn't really end up in a checkmate that quickly. So if the king goes to here, we can actually capture that pawn with the rook as well. That is like the second option that comes to my mind. The queen is protecting it, so they will probably move the king somewhere like here, which is a great idea. So the rook is there, the pawn is there, and we have the queen as well. We do want to do this little motif, the rooks and the queen protecting each other. This forces the king to go to 1 square, and now we are almost there. We want to bring the queen to g3 to do a checkmate, but then the king escapes to e4. So we want the king to go 1 step towards the right side. In order to push that, we can actually go to e3, attacking this king. We're forcing him to go to g4, and then we can bring the queen to g3 to do this checkmate. And again, this actually makes a checkmate in 7 moves as well. White will win the game, the rook prevents the back. We're doing a check this way, so we're going to be winning the game. So this is going to be very, very good. Now let's go a little bit back. So we brought the rook to b5, and we looked into what happens if the king goes to d4, what happens if the king goes to d6. There's one more option, which is going to be king going to c4. So let's look into that. If king goes to c4, we do want to do some checks again. Like right away, we see that you want to bring the queen to c6, but the problem is the opponent's queen can try to capture us, and that doesn't really work. If we go over here, again, the problem is that our rook will be hanging, so that doesn't work. So the only option for white to check the king while protecting the rook is going to be to go to e2, yes. That is the only move. We're checking this king. And now there are a few options for this king to go, right? They can go down. They can go to d4. If the king goes to d4, ooh, would you look at that? We can actually transpose this position, meaning we can turn the same exact position as before. So if king goes to there, we can do the same exact thing, right? And then after they go here, boom, 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 checkmate. But yeah, if the king... Alright, so... Okay, after this check, if the king doesn't go to here, but instead they go to c3, then we need to think a little bit. So there are some checks this way, but then it will turn into the same thing, right? The king will go back. And we don't want to have the same exact thing. So the other options are to do a check with the rook, so we should look into those ideas. If we do a check with the rook from here... Yeah, it appears that the king might escape. Like, if you try to do a ladder checkmate from here... whoops. We want the king to go over here, but the problem is the king can escape from d6. And then they're going to take shelter behind there. So, if the rook goes to here, again, the king has to go over there. If we bring the queen, the same thing kind of repeats. Like, you can bring the queen over there. Whoops. The king will go back here. And then, technically, they do escape a little bit. So, alright, my bad. If the king went there, we went over here. So if the king goes over here, the other option that we can look into is going to be rook c5. Now after rook c5, they can go over here, and they can go over here, right? Those are the only options. So if the king goes to b4, how do we do a checkmate? Ooh, now you see our queen can try to go over here, right? Check. The king has to go, there's only 1 square. And after the king goes over to here, again, the same anchoring idea, we can bring our queen to b3. That is going to be wonderful. So in this position, besides going to b4, they can also go to d4. So let's think for a moment over here. They're attacking our rook, so whatever we do, we have to protect our rook, right? Ooh, this is actually a very, very solid plan. It's a very fancy checkmate. You can actually bring the queen to e3, protecting the rook from the back. It's an x-ray protection. And we also prevent the king from escaping. The pawn protects the queen. And this, well, in total, this was actually a 4-move checkmate. So, yeah, in this book it says it's a 9-move checkmate, but the longest variation we found is in 7 moves. Maybe that was a typo. So yeah, I don't know if Alekhine actually won the game in 9 moves, and that's why they named it in 9 moves, but there's a checkmate in 7 moves that we can find. And this is really like how you try to think, how you try to analyze these kind of positions. It is going to be a little bit like too long, a little bit a requirement to think in depth. It's like a 3-branch. The more you think, the more combinations, the more variations there are. So we need to be careful and be patient to try to think about those major lines. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. We also have a chess.com affiliate link in the description. If you could click on it, that would be perfect. Thank you very much. See you in the next one. Bye.